Hello students, in our previous class we have studied about sectors of Indian economy. In our previous class we have studied about there are three sectors of economy which has been divided on the basis of work done in different sectors. There are three sectors of economy. First is primary sector. Primary sector is also known as the agriculture sector, which is related to the exploitation of the nature. For example, the activities like agriculture, mining, dairy, fishing, forestry comes under primary sector. Second is the secondary sector, which are dependent on the primary sector. In secondary sectors, product obtained from the primary sectors are converted into the finished good. Raw materials are converted into the finished good in industry. So it is also known as industrial sector. Third is the tertiary sector, which provides services to the primary and secondary sector. Like for example, transportation, communication, banking facilities, teaching. These services comes under the tertiary sector. So it is also known as service sector because it provides services to the primary sector and secondary sector, and also the other type of services like teaching, doctors, etc. Today we will study about comparing the three sectors. The various production activities in the primary, secondary and tertiary sectors produce a very large number of goods and services. Also, the three sectors have a large number of people working in them to produce these goods and services. The next step, therefore, is to see how much goods and services are produced and how many people work in each sector. First step is to classifying different activities in three categories, that are primary, secondary and tertiary. The next step is to compare how much production are done by these three sectors, how many pupils are engaged in these three sectors. In an economy, there could be one or more sectors which are dominant in terms of total production and employment, while other sectors are relatively small in size. People are engaged in different type of sectors. One sectors may dominate in terms of total production and employment, means it may include more number of people engaged in that type of particular activity. How do we count the various goods and services and know the total production in each sector? So what is the process to know what is the total production in different sectors? With so many thousands of goods and services produced, you might think this is an impossible task. Not only would the task be enormous, you might also wonder how we can add up cars and computers and nails and furnitures. It won't make sense. You are right in thinking so. To get around this problem, economists suggest the value of goods and services should be used rather than adding up the actual numbers. So it is very difficult task to calculate, to count how many productions are done in different sectors, how many pupils are engaged in different sectors. So to make it easy, economists suggest some method. The method is, instead of calculating the actual number, we can calculate the values of goods and services. For example, if 10,000 kgs of wheat is sold at rupees 8 per kg, the value of wheat will be 80,000. The value of 5,000 coconuts at rupees 10 per coconut will be 50,000. Similarly, the value of goods and services in the three sectors are calculated and then added up. So some two examples are given. 10 kgs of wheat is sold at 8 per kg and the value of wheat will be 80,000. So while calculating the total production in each sector, instead of calculating the kg of wheat, we can calculate the value of that wheat. So in this way we can calculate the production. Remember, there is one precaution one has to take. Not every goods that is produced and sold needs to be counted. It means while calculating the value, while calculating the production, we have one precaution is very important. The precaution is not all the goods that is produced need to be counted. It makes sense only to include the final goods and services. So while calculating the production, only the value of final goods and services is need to be calculated. Final goods means the goods that are directly consumed by the consumers. Like for example, instead of calculating the value of price of 1 kg of iron, we can calculate the value of the items which are made from the 1 kg of iron. Like for example, the other items which are made from the iron, like utensils, machines, or the other items. So final goods and services are to be included. Take for instance, one example is given: a farmer who sells wheat to flour mill for rupees 8 per kg. The mill grinds the wheat and sell the flour to a biscuit company for rupees 10 per kg. The biscuit companies uses the flour and things such as sugar, oil to make 4 packets of biscuit. It sells biscuit in market to the consumers for rupees 60, rupees 15 per packet. Biscuits are the final goods that reach the consumer. There are two types of goods: final goods and intermediate goods. Final goods are those goods which are directly consumed by the consumer, for example, biscuit. Whereas intermediate goods are the goods which are used as a raw materials by the industries. Here, so while calculating the production, price of final goods is to be calculated, because the price of biscuit already include the price of intermediate product like sugar, price of flour, price of salt and oil. So only the price of final goods is need to be calculated.